A carport or lean-to shed attached to an existing building such as a garage, barn, shed, or the side of your house can provide economical shelter for vehicles, garden tractors, boats, or other equipment. An attached carport is also fairly easy to construct against the side of another building if you have enough height under the existing building eave. The first step is to locate and install the support header on the existing building. The end of the header should set back from the edge of the existing building by about a ½ inch, plus the thickness of any siding and trim that's going to be added. Mark the location at one end of the header, and then mark the other end. Make sure the header is level end to end. Fasten the header in place with lag screws through the siding and into the studs of the existing building. Drop a plumb line from each corner of the header and mark this location on the bottom of the existing building. This will give you a starting point to lay out the building and determine the location of the support posts. Beginning at one plumb line mark, attach a string to the building. Measure the length for one end, drive a stake, and fasten the string in place. Beginning at the second plumb line mark, measure for the opposite end. Temporarily drive a stake and add a second string line. Measure the distance between the two plumb line marks for the length of the carport. Measure between the two stakes and adjust the stakes as needed to achieve the same distance. Make sure that the carport is laid out square with the existing building. One method of ensuring square is with right-angle string lines. Beginning at one of the plumb line marks, measure 3 feet out from the building on the string and mark this with a felt tip pen. Measure 4 feet along the building wall and mark this measurement as well. Measure diagonally between the two marks. This measurement must be 5 feet to create a square corner. Move the string and stake in or out to achieve the correct measurement. This creates a square corner for one end of the carport and determines the location of the corner post. Repeat for the opposite end and corner post. Then, again, measure between the two stakes to make sure that the length is correct. You can also check for the squareness by measuring diagonally from the plumb line marks to the opposite outside corner locations. The measurements should be the same. With the corner post locations determined, run a string line from the corner post to the corner post and mark the location of the other 3 posts. The post can be set on and anchored to concrete piers poured in holes in the ground, or you may be able to utilize precast piers. Another method is to set the posts in concrete. In this case, pressure-treated posts must be used. Again, check with the local building authorities as to the method suitable for your area. Regardless of the method of erecting the post, make sure that they are positioned correctly to create a square construction. Again, checking with a string and the triangular method. Also, make sure the posts are plumb, bracing them in place 2 ways with temporary stakes and 2x4 braces. With a helper, hold an end board or rafter up against the existing house wall and against the end of the support header. Determine the location of the end rafter on the end post, as per the pitch or outer roof height that's needed. Mark the rafter bottom edge location on the end post. Also mark the angle of the end of the rafter against the existing building. It must be cut so it will fit snugly against the building wall. Measure for rafter length, allowing for overhang, and cut the angle. Cut the same angle on the outer end of the rafter as well. Repeat for the opposite end of the building. Then, use one of the cut rafters as a pattern to cut the remaining rafters. Fasten the front support beam in place to the post, locating it below the rafter bottom edge line marked on the post. This beam is actually made up of 3 12-foot links on the building shown. Make sure the beams are level. Locate the positions of the rafters on the header and fasten joist hangers in place. Fasten the rafters in place in the joist hangers, with their outer ends resting on the outer support beams. Fasten the opposite end of the rafters to the support beams with metal hurricane bracing plates. Cut the top post level with the rafters. Fasten a second inner support beam up against the bottom edges of the rafters and to the inside of the posts. Cut the end support beams. Note the outer end may have to be cut at an angle to fit up and under the rafter, depending on the roof height and the pitch. The existing building end must be fastened to a block anchored to the existing wall. The outer end is fastened to the post and/or rafters. Cut blocking pieces to fit between the end rafters and the end support beams. Fasten in place on 24-inch centers by toe-nailing one end or use angle braces. Next, cut and install the braces. The front braces have a 45-degree angle on both ends. The end braces are best cut by first cutting the bottom 45-degree angle, positioning a brace in place, and marking the top angle to fit the end beams. With the end braces in place, cut and install siding over the ends. You may also want to add trim around the ends to match the existing building. A fascia board is fastened to the front of the rafter ends to finish off the outer end. The building shown was covered with metal roofing. The roofing was brown to match the shingles of the existing building. Other choices include a variety of polycarbonate materials, such as Suntoff. Remember, measure twice, cut once, be safe, and thanks for watching.